Hey everyone, today we'll be taking a look at the TengYun Third Cube 2nd Generation. Bruh. Hey everyone, today we'll be taking a look at the new DaYan TengYun version 2. I'm really excited for the TengYun version 2 because I was a massive fan of the Guhong version 3, and being an old school cuber, I'm really excited to see that DaYan is starting to make new speed cubes with modern technology. The TengYun version 2 is supposed to feature adjustable magnets and adjustable, like a dual adjustment core, which is really cool. It does come in a stickerless and black plastic model. Today we'll be taking a look at the stickerless one. And in typical DaYan fashion, it is pretty greasy out of the box. So let me go ahead and just give this a quick wipe down. All right, much better. So taking a look at the cube, I'm really interested in the piece design. It looks like it's very flat, but also sort of rounded. I think I'm kind of picking it up because of the centerpiece. It reminds me of a GaN cube, how the GaN cubes have a center for the a circular centerpiece, and it kind of has like the lip, whereas this one is a similar look, which I haven't really seen before in any other 3x3s. So very interesting design there. And you can see a whole lot of the centerpiece through the face. So very interesting design from DaYan. Definitely a very smooth feel. It reminds me a lot more of the TengYun version 1 in terms of feel than it does for the Guhong version 3. The cube is 55.5 millimeters, so it is a really nice size. I know a lot of cubers that I talk with enjoy the smaller sized cubes. And it's almost becoming the new normal. I remember when cubes were always 57 millimeters as the standard. Now we're seeing a lot more 55.5 and mostly 56. So very interesting transition there, but super nice feel in the hand. The turning is really easy to control, it's smooth. It does have a slightly dry, I'm hesitant to say scratchy, but kind of like a dry, very faint scratchy feel to it, which is very similar to the TengYun version 1. So again, if you're a fan of the version 1 TengYun and you're looking for a cube that has a lot more customization but retains the same sort of feel, this is going to be a knockout for you. So definitely you'll want to check this out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories this cube comes with so we can figure out how to adjust the core. Ugh, man, this kind of cardboard is like this really weird squeaky cardboard, which gives me the chills, so I'm gonna try to not mess with this too much, but all right, so I can already see we're greeted by a very high-end screwdriver and an interesting adjustment tool. It almost looks like a socket that you would use for like a wrench. We have, it looks like another very high-end screwdriver, extra springs. It looks like we have 3 extra elasticity springs and 3 extra springs that would just be used for the general tensions, and then another set of springs. I don't know if these ones are harder or softer off the top of my head. We also have an extra core for good measure. I presume this is just in case you strip out the core. I noticed that in the instruction pamphlet, it does actually say you need to be super careful to not tighten the cube down all the way or you will cause damage. So that leads me to believe that either the core might strip out easily or it's a very like loose, yeah, it is a loose cube, so maybe it's the second hypothesis, but pretty much be really careful when you are tensioning your TengYun version 2. You do not want to over tighten this guy. Looks like we have a CFOP algorithm guide. So really cool to see that DaYan's now including this. I'll take a look at the algorithms later. It's interesting that I've never seen a guide that utilizes the yellow instead of the white as like the main solve color. So really interesting look at that. Let's go ahead and pop a center cap and take a look. I like that the caps come out nice and easy, but they also seem to be pretty securely on there. And that is a very small screw. So, wow. Yeah, that's, never seen a screw that small in a recent 3x3. Looking at this center adjustment system, it looks a little daunting, not gonna lie. The numbers are really hard to make out under this current lighting, so it's kind of like the you know, like the GAN cubes or the YJ-MGC Elite, where you have to really make sure that you're catching a good light so you can actually read the colors, because these kind of opaque blues are not easy to see. So we do have, it looks like the 0.6, 0.8, 1, and 1.2 settings for the elasticity. And then we have 0.5, 1, and 1.5 for the core. Okay, so I referred to the instruction guide. I did have it correct. It's just a very interesting looking design. So I'm gonna be learning this system along with you guys. So I'm seeing that there is an arrow piece on the elasticity adjustment. So I'm guessing that by rotating that, you are picking the tension adjustment. And then I noticed on the screw head, there's this little notch, which is right there. And I presume that notch on the screw head is what is going to determine the spring elasticity setting. So not as clear as other cubes out of the box, especially because the instructions aren't the most clear, but I think that's how it works. Really quickly, if we turn the top layer 45 degrees, we are greeted with the magnet adjustment. The magnets have 3 settings, a light, moderate, and strong, which correspond to 1 for strong, 2 for medium, and 3 for light. The instruction guide actually says 1, 2, and 2. So I guess that's up to you to figure out which one is which. But nonetheless, we have 3 magnet settings, and we have 4 spring elasticity settings and 3 tension elasticity settings. Wow, these cubes are getting to be complicated. Let's go ahead and take a stab at adjusting it. I presume that the screw for the core adjusts just as a normal cube would by rotating the screw head tighter or looser. But I think that, let's see, do you need to?
Nope.
All right, let's go ahead and try this one. I just did something. So let's see, I'm on setting 1. Yeah, now I'm on 0.5. Now I'm on 0. So doing the core elasticity setting is by far the easiest one to adjust. And then let's see, maybe if I flip this guy upside down, it's gonna fit on the spring elasticity, and it does. Okay, cool. So now I'm feeling a lot better about how this works. So right now we're on 0.6 for the spring elasticity. Let's try to go to 0.8. Okay, I guess you have to actually press down on it to make an adjustment. Yep, so similar to GAN cubes, you need to put some pressure on the center if you're gonna be doing the spring elasticity setting, and you can just rotate it freehand if you're doing the core tension setting. You guys can thank me later for taking the time to figure this all out for you. What's really kind of odd is that you have to first figure out what your screw setting is gonna be, and then use the notch on the screw as your reference point. So I would imagine you first need to adjust your screws and then go from there. So I might have completely botched this side. So let me go ahead and try to set this up really quickly and see if I could find a setting that I like. All right, so I have completely adjusted the core for all 6 sides, and I end up going with a tighter setting. So I end up going with 0.6 for the spring elasticity, and I went with 0.5 for the core elasticity. And I also tightened the screw down and backed it off by a few turns. And I have to tell you that even though these dual adjustment systems, especially this one, can be a bit daunting in my opinion, they do make a really nice difference. The cube feels a lot more stable and confidence inspiring now when turning. You can see it's not nearly as flexible as it once was, and I really like the new feel. So I'm really pleased with how this turned out. Pretty much the way that it works is the higher the number for either adjustment, the looser and more corner cutting you're gonna have, but you have to be careful. If you make it too loose, you might compromise the integrity of the cube. So if you pick up one of these guys, check it out and see which one works best for you, and let me know down in the comments which settings you use for your TengYun version 2. Let's go ahead and dive into the magnets. So turn the top layer 45 degrees per the manual, and we will follow the debugging steps, as it calls it. So we need to use the adjustment tool to twist the magnets in the groove, which I'm guessing is gonna be the flathead screwdriver, because we have not used that one yet. Okay, so there is a little groove right here that the flathead screwdriver is used for. It looks like the cube is currently set to magnet strength 2, which is either gonna be the medium or the light, one being strong. So to go ahead and adjust it, let's try to put the flathead screwdriver in, and yeah, all you do is you rotate it. So super easy super easy magnet adjustment. Let's see if it also changes the strength for the other side, and it does. So that's super nice that you are adjusting both sides of the piece in one turn. So we're on setting 1 now for that piece, which is the strong magnet. Let's try out setting 3. And back to setting 2. Okay, so I looked a little bit more closely at the instructions, and even though the numbers are labeled wrong, I can confirm that setting 1 is gonna be the strongest, 2 is the medium or moderate, and 3 is gonna be the light. Okay, the cube is now all set to the light magnet strength. Yeah, so it's definitely a lot more of what I'm going for. I do still think I prefer the moderate or setting number 2 the most, but the light ones do feel a lot more comfortable for me with the current core setup. I will say that the more you use the TengYun version 2, like most things in life, you do get a lot more comfortable with the adjustment system. It's not quite as daunting as it is when you kind of take it out of the box, but I do think it is a really easy to use system overall. The core just is something that takes a little bit of getting used to, more so than some other cubes. Definitely a nice solving experience. It's a very comfortable cube. I feel like that with the right settings, it doesn't really tend to get away from you, and it's something that I would probably use in competition, because it's something that I feel like if I were to get a bit nervous and start shaking and turn a little bit erratically, it's a very forgiving cube. So to wrap up my final thoughts of the new TengYun version 2, I have to say that I was a bit skeptical at first with the whole core adjustment system, but I really do like it. Once you get comfortable with it, it's really not that hard to use. The adjustments I think are good, they make substantial differences, and it was pretty easy for me to find a really nice setup that I'm happy with. So again, my setup is 0.6 for the spring elasticity, 0.5 for the tension control, and I just went for a somewhat moderate screw tension along with the moderate magnet settings. Go ahead and try out my setting, let me know what you think, and again, don't forget to let me know what your favorite setup is on the TengYun version 2 in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you in the next one.